Everyone, can you hear me? I can, yes. Can you hear me? Okay, good.
All right, we will call the meeting to order. This is the time and the place for the March 2nd, 2026 regular board meeting of the Marshalltown Community School District Board of Education. Welcome to all of you joining us here this evening. Welcome as well to anybody who might be tuning in or watching via the live stream. We'll do introductions before we get going too much farther, starting with board members to my left, Eric Goslinga, and to my right, Zach Wall, Maria Morales, and Elizabeth Wise. Also, Leah Stanley is joining us from Houston, Texas, I believe. Immediately to my left is Dr. Theron Schutte, our superintendent of schools, and to my right, Mr. Randy Denham, our board secretary. I am Sean Heitman. We've got two of our three student school board reps here this evening, Miley Dougal and Audrey Miller-Pfeiffer, so welcome to them as well. We've got a pink sign-up sheet there on the speaker's table for anybody who wants to address the board during public comment time. You will be given 5 minutes to speak to the board. Please understand that Iowa law prohibits the discussion of specific employees of the district or their job performance. Also, in accordance with board policy, board members will not respond to comments made during public comment so that we can comply with open meeting laws. And with all of those things out of the way, would you all please join me in reading the mission statement of the Marshalltown Community School District? We develop learners who have the knowledge, skills, and positive mindset to successfully pursue a meaningful future through personalized learning experiences. And would you all please stand as you're able and join in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Are there any changes to the agenda?
Yes, we do have a special surprise recognition that Abby will open up with when the time comes.
Okay. Then we need a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
So moved. Second.
Wise Morales. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. That motion carries 6-0. And all right, here we go, Abby. A special surprise recognition.
So if Dave Glenn and Jeff Tice could come forward.
Do we sit for
Yeah, you can sit.
recognition, or do we stand for recognition?
No, you can sit.
So,
But you do need to slide that microphone
yeah.
over, and there you
So
go.
thank you for allowing us to stop in today. We, on the heels of probably one of our most successfully attended and run both boys and girls wrestling seasons, we wanted to make sure that we had an opportunity to recognize Liz Wise, Director Wise. She puts in an uncountable number of volunteer hours to make sure that our meets run smoothly. She has gotten us up to the 21st century with track wrestling. I keep begging her, please don't ever stop doing this. I know I've got at least one more year with Brandon being a 7th grader, but she's showed me how to run it twice and I still can't figure it out. So I need her to keep coming. But she has been, she just goes above and beyond making sure that we are ready to go, that the kids are ready to go. She talks to Bobcat wrestlers. She talks to wrestlers of any school who are there to encourage them to get them on the mats at the right time. And she just really kind of mother hens everybody. And we wouldn't be anywhere near as successful as we've been without her help.
So,
I left Jeff in charge of rapping.
got a little something for you, Liz.
Oh my gosh, don't make me cry. Seriously.
Dave wrapped it.
You didn't have to, guys.
No, we didn't have to.
Matt, Mom. Yes, absolutely.
Abby,
Absolutely.
Abby, you want to get a picture of the three of them together?
That's gonna be tough.
Let me take the.
This mean you'll come back next
Of course I will.
Get everybody in the frame.
Yeah, right.
Could Oscar and Melissa come forward?
Yeah.
So we happened to see an article in the newspaper, which brought to our attention.
You are fired. Can I fire? Clock out and go home.
It depends on what day you catch me. No, I'm just kidding. So we saw in the newspaper that we have an author amongst us, and so we wanted to bring you forward to congratulate you, number one, because that's a huge undertaking. Definitely a point of pride for the Marshtown Community School District and Woodbury Elementary School. So possibly you can tell us a little bit about your journey towards that significant achievement.
So I wrote this book in 1997. Some of you probably weren't here yet in 1997. So it was just a way to end each day with our kids, just as a positive way to end the day. If they leave happy, hopefully they'll come back happy the next day. And I just use clip art as a way to illustrate it. And then I was teaching Head Start for Drake University at the time. And then in early 2000, I moved to Urbandale School District. And I had a mom there that was also a local artist in the Des Moines area. And so she did illustrations of the book for me, like as a Christmas gift. And then we moved to Massachusetts, and while we were there, she called and said, "Hey, I found this company that kind of wants to publish the book." I'm like, "Are you crazy?" So after we wrote a couple of checks, we got the book illustrated. But the book is dedicated to a little girl named Sophie that was in my Head Start classroom, in my early childhood special ed classroom in Urbandale. At the time on the IEP program, it said, like, for the parents, what is one of your hopes and dreams for your child? And Sophie's mom, Sally, said, "I just want to hear her voice. I know she has a voice in there." And she would make noises. She would just never talk. And so every day at the end of the day, we would stand in line and the book would sit right there near my door. And we would sing goodbye. And when you have a class of 5 students with autism, it's like herding cats sometimes, trying to get them all in the same place at once. And I read the book, and, we just pushed through it, although nobody was ever listening. And then one day in probably, I would say maybe February or March, I have to stand up. Okay. So we're looking, it's time to line up. I'm like, "Where is Sophie? I just lost a 19-pound 3-year-old. How do you lose a child?" And the book was gone. And so I go to the block area and I see Sophie, I see Sophie in the corner with her back to everybody. And she's on the floor and she's going, "See you later, alligator. Bye-bye, butterfly. Goodbye, ladybug." And at the time, I don't know why, but I had a camcorder on my desk, those giant things with the 8-track. Anyway, so I put that on and I recorded it, and I could hear the bus honking. It's time to go home. My principal calls and said, "Missy, get her on the bus." I'm like, "Okay." And so I pull this tape out of the camcorder and I stick a note on it, and all it says is, "Watch as soon as possible." And I had to go to a meeting, and I came back from my meeting and I had a voicemail, and I answered it, and all I heard was, "Thank you." That's all I got from that voicemail. And it was Sophie. We found her voice. She found her voice through this book. And so that's when we realized the power of our book, of my book. And so that's when Kim and I decided to publish it and dedicate it to Sophie because, well, to all the Sophies of the world. So, but what I really want to do is make everybody in this room sing the book with me right now. You didn't know you were getting that. You put me on the spot. I'm going to put you on the spot. So, no, will you put me in my book holder? You still have to sing. So we're going to make this a repeat after me. Okay, everybody, you all have to do it. I'm a preschool teacher. I know how to make you do things. So here it is. So this first page. So I'll do it and then you'll do it. So see you later, alligator.
See you later, alligator.
Bye bye, butterfly.
Bye bye, butterfly.
Give a hug,
ladybug.
Be sweet, parakeet.
Be sweet, parakeet.
So great. Blow a kiss, mwah, jellyfish.
Blow a kiss,
Jellyfish.
See you soon, raccoon.
See you soon, raccoon.
Take care, polar bear.
Take care, polar bear.
Out the door, dinosaur.
Out the door, dinosaur.
Oh, King Kong.
So long, King Kong.
Goodbye, goodbye. We had a lot of fun. I'll miss you. I'll miss you. I'll miss you until tomorrow. You guys kiss your brains. You did a really great job. I'm an awesome listener. That's what.
Well, thank you very much for especially sharing the story behind that book, but that is a cute, catchy book.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you.
yep, you're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Have a great day, guys. Thank you.
Want me to go first? Well, first of all, I would echo everything Dave and Jeff said about Liz. We've hosted district wrestling, 7, 8 years in a row. We host the biggest JV tournament in the state. How many wrestlers? 300, something like that? It gets bigger every year. 6 mats.
450.
7 mats. We couldn't do it without Liz. So, and 8 mats. It keeps getting bigger every year. And I don't know if this has been board approved or anything, but I have given her a title. You know what it is, right?
Director of Wrestling Operations.
Director of Wrestling Operations. That's Liz's title. So yeah, I echo that. I mean, she's been so great. Thank you, Liz.
You're welcome.
Yeah, obviously this past recently we had state wrestling, and Nick and Dalton, who are both here with us today, who made the podium. And as it says up there, first time we've had back-to-back finalists since 1996 and 1997. So that's a huge accomplishment. We also had 5 qualifiers, so that's the most we've had since 2004. So it was really incredible season. We were second at the conference meet, and for those of you that know, Fort Dodge is a pretty good powerhouse in wrestling, and we were right there with them. And we were missing a few kids. I know Dalton didn't wrestle. Dalton was hurt a lot this season, and we had a couple kids not wrestle that day. Had we had a full lineup, I think we would have took home the conference title as well. So very good season. These two are incredible role models for our kids. Nick's actually been helping my youngest learn wrestling, and I couldn't think of a better kid for him to look up to, and I'm just very proud of them. And Coach Cross as well for the program that he's built and is continuing to build. He said it best this year. We did not reload.
We're not rebuilding.
We're not rebuilding, we're reloading. And because I think a lot of people saw last year, like losing Xavier and Johan and some of our heavy hitters are like, oh man, how's the wrestling team going to be this year? And we were just as good this year, and we'll be very good next year as well. So I'll let these guys talk now.
I guess I'll hop in, let the boys talk last, because they're the important ones. Save the best for last. Yeah, so it was a great season, as Greg talked about, and I'm really proud of our whole entire team, but especially these two boys. Obviously, making it to the podium is a very difficult thing, and especially in the state of Iowa for wrestling. I mean, Iowa is known nationally for being a powerhouse in wrestling, so to be on the podium and as high as they were is quite the feat. Colleges are blowing up their phones already trying to get a hold of these guys because they want them. So they prove themselves as quality wrestlers, but more importantly than that, they are just quality people. They are obviously powerhouses on the mat, but they're powerhouses of people. They are truly incredible in the classroom. Both have over a 3.75 GPA. They do a lot of volunteer work, and they're just great teammates as well. All the younger guys look up to them, and they aspire to be like these guys. So these guys are a great way to represent our program, but also our community.
Let's talk about your experience at state.
All right.
Yeah, just the whole life. Just tell us about your life.
Well, I'm Nicholas Wise. It was a really fun season this year. Last year was really fun for me, and this year was even better. All the wrestlers on it, we all bonded really well. We all got along really well together, and we not only did stuff on the wrestling mat, but we also went to other kids' houses. We went bowling. We did stuff off the mat and got stronger as a team that way. And I think that's one of the reasons why we did so well this year, is because we weren't just a wrestling team. We were more like a wrestling family. Making it to state, the second time making it to state, it was a pretty exciting experience. Being seated second and then having everybody from Marshalltown come up and watch me, that was a very great experience. I think that really moved me through the tournament and got me through some tough matches, especially my third match against Hayden Hutt. I started off losing that match, and I could hear the audience, I could hear the coaches screaming, and I think that kept my confidence up and that kept my energy up. Even though I didn't finish how I wanted to, it was still a really great season for me. I only had 2 losses, I think 40 wins this season, and that's including missing tournaments and missing duels due to bad weather. So it could have been 50 wins, but 40 wins is still a really good amount, and I'm really grateful for everything that Marshalltown Wrestling has provided me with.
I'm Dalton Zenicek. I was injured right about the halfway point of the season, and at first I was kind of down in the dumps and I wasn't really sure when I was going to be back. But like Nick said, that wrestling family that we have, like the bonds we build, it builds an environment where we all want to be better for each other and just work to be a better team. And going to state, it was a little scary because I was that 8th seed, so I was going to see the number 1 seed in the quarterfinals. But it didn't go how I wanted in the quarterfinals, but I ended up placing 4th, so I upset everybody else who was seated above me, and I almost upset the 2 seed in the 3rd place match. And it feels really good to have a senior season that could have been a lot worse than it ended up being because of my injury, and being able to work through that felt really good.
Well, we're really proud of what you two and the whole team really has accomplished. It's been super exciting, not only to watch the boys, but to watch the girls wrestling and the support that both teams have for one another. And I think the sky is the limit for where this program's going to head. And we're excited to see the reload next year. And what are your guys' plans right now for next year, knowing you're both seniors?
I plan on wrestling in college, but I am not sure where. I will probably make the decision in a couple of weeks, but right now I am going on I am going on visits to colleges, and I'm seeing what every program has to offer.
And area of desired study?
kinesiology and exercise science.
I'm currently undecided whether or not I'm going to wrestle in college. I know what college I want to go to. I want to go to Iowa State to go into pre-vet biology, but I'm not sure about competing in college yet.
Sure. Well, we wish you guys the best of luck, and thanks for representing Marshtown.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having us tonight. This week it is school resource or school social work week, and we invited Suhei Alvarez to join us here to represent our team of SRS that we have across the building, or sorry, across the district. And she is she's one of the best representatives we can have here today. I remember meeting Suhei a while back, a couple of years ago, and to watch her blossom in this role has been incredible. And the amount of connections the Suhei has done at Rogers specifically with connecting families to the right resources, connecting them with the academic sources they need with throughout the year, anything, she's there for them. And so that's not unique to just Rogers. That's what all our SRS team does across the district. And many of them have blossomed like Suhei has this year. And I think part of it is the great relationships they have with their leadership in the building and they're go-getters. I know Suhei is a really go-getter. If she doesn't know something, she will ask. If she doesn't understand how she can get connected to families the right way, she's there to support by reaching out to the other SRSs in our building. So I wanted to recognize Suhei and the rest of our team, which we have 11 total in our district. So she doesn't want you to ask her any questions.
Suhei, what's a typical day look like for you?
A typical day that looks for me is like making multiple attendance phone calls, connecting with students or connecting with families or collaboration with staff members or with my school principal.
Any other tough questions for Suhei?
She's a great leader in our school district. So,
What do you enjoy the most?
working with Anil.
Yes, I do. Wait, okay. I really enjoy working with our families, especially our students and with our staff members.
Well, thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
Last recognition item is a informational one. Marshalltown High School student Jager Purchase was recently selected as the National Academic Quiz Tournament's Player of the Week. We congratulate him on earning this national recognition.
And I have a feeling we'll see him before the end of the year.
Probably.
We'll probably get put to the test again.
Study up now, so.
Thanks, Abby. Okay, looking at the consent agenda, we've got minutes from the February 16th meeting. Jackie, any items of note in personnel?
Yes, Nancy Pins, school nurse at Woodbury, has announced her retirement. On behalf of the nursing team and the entire Woodbury Elementary family, we are honored to recognize Nancy for her years of dedicated service and heart-led leadership. Nancy has been an invaluable cornerstone of our school, consistently putting our students first. Her impact is seen in everything from her flawless health records to her role as a fierce advocate for vaccinations and family health resources, ensuring every child was ready to succeed from day one. Beyond the clinic, she served as a vital CPR instructor, proactively training district staff and strengthening the safety of our entire community. More than just a nurse, Nancy was a champion for inclusion. Her exceptional care and commitment ensured that every student, family, and staff member felt they truly belonged. A true team player and a fierce advocate for those in her care, she leaves behind a legacy of health, safety, and kindness.
Thanks, Jackie.
You're welcome.
Looking at interagency agreements and contracts, there's a residential lease agreement with Maria Pena for 12 North 14th Street, an engineering services agreement with Clapsaddle Garber for the Franklin parking lot in the amount of $38,500, an agreement between Massachusetts General Physicians Organization to provide Think Kids coaching for staff, an amendment modifying the master services agreement with the Massachusetts General Physicians Organization to establish a new performance period, a memorandum of agreement with Morningside University for placement and supervision of teacher education candidates for the 26-27 academic year, an agreement between Gothard Consulting and the school district for school violence prevention program support for grant writing, and a stipulation to formally define which staff positions are included or excluded in the Marshalltown Education Association collective bargaining unit. And then we've got a couple of special ed agreements with South Tama Community School District. Any questions about any of those items? Looking at open enrollments for the current school year, there are 2 out. And for the upcoming school year, there are 2 out. Randy, anything to note in bills? No. Any questions for Randy about the bills? We did receive a $3,000 award through the STEP grant to be used to support the purchase of more public bus tickets for students for the 26-27 school year. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Morales, Gazlinga, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries 6-0. Nobody's on the pink sheet. So, Oscar, you and your team are up.
All right, well, thanks for having us. I think we saw a couple of you earlier last week, so thanks for coming by. I got a good team with me, starting from my left here, Mary Brown, our instructional coach, Mr. Nelson Del Valle, one of our ELL instructors, and Heidi Williams, our counselor. Go on to the next slide, please. Yeah, just we're going to go over some few facts, a little bit about the dual language program, just a review for everyone. Our collaborative problem solving initiative and our professional development focus. So just real quick, just Woodbury, we're riding 394 students pre-K 4, 218 students identified ELL, 55 staff. We have 2 pre-K classrooms, so 1 English and 1 Spanish, both with 2 sections, and 3 sections each in kindergarten through 4th grade. And just some highlight, go ahead, next slide. Some highlights just from some of our FastBridge data, just some growth. Kindergarten FastBridge, we had 73% of our students that had aggressive or typical growth in early reading English, and 84% had aggressive or typical growth in early reading Spanish. From first grade, 42 had aggressive or typical growth in early reading Spanish, and then 54 had aggressive typical growth in early May. So we're seeing some growth. Teachers are working hard, but I just wanted to point out some of these data highlights for us. All right, so just a little review about the dual language program and how it's structured and the allocation. For preschool, 2 teachers, and those are one teacher's 100% English, and the other one's 100% Spanish. Kindergarten, the allocation is 80% Spanish and 20% English, and all teachers in kindergarten are bilingual, and that's Spanish and English. First grade, 70-30 split Spanish to English, and then all teachers are bilingual. And then second through fourth grade, 50-50 Spanish and English, with English, we have an English teacher, Spanish teacher that switch homerooms, and one bilingual teacher in each one of those grade levels. And then the content area allocation here, the blue is represented in English and the red in Spanish. Some of the things to note is math is done in Spanish and everybody receives language arts in English and Spanish. Okay, going to collaborative problem solving. We'll go over a quick overview and then implementation at Woodbury, and then how collaborative problem solving training is going this year. This is part of our school building goal, is to have 90% of teachers engage in active CPS coaching to support implementation. So that's part of our attendance setter plan. Next slide. And then just a quick overview of collaborative problem solving. It's a response to reducing challenging behaviors. It gives us a structured approach to address those behaviors and make students an active participant in helping us solve those problems. The focus is on students' unmet needs and lagging skills rather than a kind of an old school thought of kind of a punitive response. And then while we're doing this, we're building staff capacity to respond to student needs in a meaningful way, and also in that process, in those conversations, they're building some pretty positive relationships. And then Heidi's going to talk about implementation at Woodbury.
All right, so what this looks like is our staff members utilizing CPS in the moment, which we would refer to as spontaneous Plan B conversations. We also have teachers and staff that are proactively planning out some of these conversations when they notice that there are students that are having a hard time meeting expectations. We support our teachers and our staff members through our CPS MTSS process in planning for some of those conversations. So that would be kind of what you would think of as behavior MTSS. We no longer structure it exactly in that same way. Instead, we've just replaced that basically with looking at it through the CPS lens. So we have a team that really does work to support. You can see that actually in that picture. That's what's taking place right there, where we're working with people that have gone through a lot of CPS training to help support a teacher with a student that has some behavioral needs that we can support through the CPS model. We also have worked really hard to be able to utilize CPS with some of our students that have an IEP that's serving them for behavior. And so we have included CPS language in the IEP goals. We've written it into different rubrics. We utilize Plan B conversations as an intervention because that's really what it is. It's building skills through the conversations that take place. Samantha Badkey, our SRS, and myself utilize CPS through the groups that we're doing. So all of our small groups function through CPS lens. We're not utilizing like old school curriculums again too. It's more of how do we utilize CPS to help our kids in the moment. So it's just something that's kind of unique to how Woodbury utilizes CPS.
Yeah, and it's great just seeing those MTSS CPS sessions, because not only are we problem solving, obviously, and helping teachers out, but teachers are getting additional coaching from the experts in the building. And right now we have 5 staff that had a level 1 foundations training, 12 staff that had a level 2 advanced concept, 4 staff that are certified, Nelson being one of them, and then 1 staff who is trained certified level for CPS, which is Heidi. So it's great to have those 4 staff members and Heidi and that expertise in-house that's been built over the years with the work that Anel has done with the staff, and really spreading. We now have 2 teams that can go and support teachers that are having struggles with challenging behaviors and kids lacking skills. And then so Anel had written our at-risk grant, and we're in year 2 in that, so a lot of that grant goes towards these coaching sessions. So we started coaching sessions for our staff members as well. So 20, I think it's 21, 22 are participating in those coaching sessions, which is once per month, and that'll go 12 sessions for the level 1, 2 groups of level 1, and then 10 sessions for our level 2. So going into next year as well, that's part of the amendment because we're going into the next year. All right, and then we're going to talk a little bit about our professional development focus this year with metalinguistic practice, and then our Reveal Math implementation. And we'll just go to the next slide. We'll get into that. Oh.
Okay. We have been so fortunate this year to receive some pretty targeted professional development. Our Director of Student Services, Anel Garza, and also Dr. Lisa Wymore from the AEA have joined us to present on metalinguistic practices. This is an area where that's really, really special to dual language programs and is meant to help students leverage language the language that they're learning, and also the partner language to learn from both of them. But it has to be set up really intentionally. So that is what our teachers are learning to do. And we have also been able to partner across the district with teachers in the dual language program of Lenahan, Miller, and the high school, so that we're all learning these same practices and how to embed this type of learning into curriculum that we're currently teaching.
So these are just some examples of some metalinguistic lessons that I've been using with my own groups. So in 4th grade specifically, I have an English group, but I've been using some metalinguistic moments in which, for example, I give them the directions to an activity we're doing in English, and then I let them talk about it with their groups in Spanish, make sure they can clarify what they're doing, and then they share again with me in English. Or just doing a turn and talk where I explain a concept in English and then they talk about it in Spanish with their partners, see what connections they can make. Also, some metalinguistic tasks, like I have an example up there of a word sort I made for adjective order in noun phrases. And so I had the words in both English and Spanish, and they were able to use their knowledge in both languages to sort of sort that.
Another really important thing that we've been working on this year is it's our 2nd year of Reveal Math implementation. So starting to, after that first year, that surface level, like get used to just the structure of the lessons, dig a little bit deeper, and try to really understand some of these new research-based instructional practices that are being recommended, and that are really structured, that Reveal Math is really structured around. So we have done some professional development, looked at a lot of historical data to find the need for the learning that we're doing this year. And then also really digging into mathematical teaching practices, which is a large part of Reveal. One of our goals as a building in the Explore section of Reveal is there's always 2 options that teachers have. They can choose from an activity-based exploration where you present a problem to students and then kind of let them go and see how they do, give them some tools to use. But really, it's more like a project-based or like problem-based type of learning. And then there's also a guided practice or a guided exploration where the teacher can really walk through the problem with students alongside them. They have the option to use either one of these in their lesson, and our challenge for teachers this year was to work toward implementation of that activity-based. exploration 2 to 3 times a week, so like in a unit would probably equal out to being about 75% of their lessons being activity-based exploration. And so what I have for you next, on the next slide is a video of in 2nd grade and 3rd grade, some examples of them using, just like it helps the dialogue and a lot of the discourse that they are having about math, and helps it kind of bring it to life. So in both of these classrooms, they were working with money, but in kind of separate ways. It is just kind of cool to see the connection that you can make between what they're working on at one grade level and the next grade level.
Chiquitos, como estos son 20, son 5, son 10. Y estos dos son 10 y estos son 2. 22. Emily de Cruz. Y de los niños van a tener 50, ¿sí? 5, sí, tengo los guns. If we if we go but just like how they were looking at us, we need to do our work too. I'm gonna collect them.
Yeah, when they're engaged in that kind of work, they're really learning to be flexible thinkers, and they're problem solving. They're correcting their own mistakes through just their dialogue with each other, and then as teachers come around to help them identify other areas where they can improve. But it's just it's really important that we kind of start with the students do first, and then they do together, and then the teacher will come in. So we're really trying to shift that mindset from the teacher going first to where the students are going first and trying and really thinking about their math reasoning. What questions do we have that these three can answer? Or a no?
We were so
Hearing
thorough.
none.
We were so thorough.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for coming. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Amy, do we have Ryan and Greg on?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Everybody?
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight, Greg and Ryan. The Marshtown Community School District Board has been committed the last 3 months to reading your wonderful book, When You Wonder You're Learning, Mr. Rogers' Enduring Lessons for Raising Creative, Curious, and Caring Kids. So we've taken basically a chapter every 2 weeks, and then had conversation around the board table on particular things that stood out to us relative to I think it was 6 chapters, and the pillars of curiosity, creativity, collaboration, communication, critical thinking, and confidence. We're super excited to have you join us, the authors of the book, to either answer some questions or receive some feedback from both the board and the district core administrative team. I guess maybe it'd be best to have the two of you introduce yourselves and talk a little bit, if you would, about the impetus behind your book.
Ryan, do you want to introduce yourself first?
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Ryan Ridzeski. I am so grateful to be here and for you all to set aside time, which I know is on short supply for anybody on a school board, to set aside time for our book. It means the world to us. I'm so happy to be here. I am a former teacher. I taught 4th and 5th grade, was later an educator coach. I'm now the father of 2 kids. And I told Dr. Shute earlier, we've had a slight schedule change in our house, which means I'm a solo dad tonight, and they're both here. The TV is working for now, but it's not going to last for my 1-year-old. So we might have a special guest here in a moment. And I've been working with Greg for about a decade. And Greg, I'll let you talk about the impetus for the book.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Greg. Like Ryan, I'm joining you from Pittsburgh. So honored to be with you. I'm the dad of 2 girls who attend public schools in our community. My wife is on the school board, so I deeply appreciate the work and leadership that you all exercise every day and every week. So thank you for that. And my girls are not at home. They're off at soccer and gymnastics, respectively. I've got a middle schooler and a high schooler. For 20 years now, I've served as the executive director of the Grable Foundation, which is a grant-making foundation here in southwestern Pennsylvania. And one of our trustees was a longtime president of Family Communications, which was the company that produced Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. And in part because of that, in part because we grew up here in western Pennsylvania, home to WQED, which produced Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood for decades, and because Mr. Rogers is in the water around here, his legacy has always been on our minds. And because of the work that we're privileged to do in the field of education, Ryan and I have the great opportunity to keep up on what's being written about education, how education works. Some of the things we just saw a moment ago about making learning visible comes right from researchers at Harvard and elsewhere. And so as we were reading these papers produced by educators and learning scientists at places up in Massachusetts and out in California, in Iowa, back here in Pennsylvania, increasingly we were noticing that they were reading like they were scripts from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. And that was our aha light bulb moment to say, is there a different story to tell about Fred Rogers? Yes, of course, that icon of American television, that loving person whom we got to know in those television visits for decades. But was there a story about Fred Rogers, the learning scientist? And as we dug into how Fred did what he did and got under the hood, we realized, there is. And Fred worked with some of the most brilliant pediatricians and psychologists and psychiatrists of the last century. Folks like Dr. Benjamin Spock, and Eric Erickson, and Margaret McFarland, and others. And what we found is that he applied that science in the most seamless ways possible, and in fact, was in many ways a learning scientist decades ahead of his time. Term of art we didn't use a half century ago. So fast forward to today, as we're reading these articles, you can see why for us it made sense to say there's something happening here, because the learning science today is what Fred was doing all of those years ago. So let's tell that story about Fred, the learning scientist, who left us a blueprint about how great learning happens in our schools, in our homes, in all of the places where young people might learn.
We'll open it up to the team if you have any questions or comments.
Hey guys, I'm Sean Heitman. I guess I don't necessarily have a question. I listened to a podcast about Fred Rogers a couple of years ago, Finding Fred. I have to imagine you guys are well familiar with it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Carvel Wallace, right?
What's that?
Is it Carvel Wallace?
I think,
the one?
yeah, I think so. And that, like, I hadn't thought about Fred Rogers since I was probably, 4 or 5 years old. And that was really that podcast and then reading your book. Just the thought and the science behind what he was doing was just really impressive. So, that's, I guess, my main observation or takeaway from the book. I appreciate you guys writing it. It was a good read. So thank you.
Thank you, Sean. I appreciate you sharing that. And I will say, yes, one of our biggest concerns, I think, when we dove into this project was we don't want to spoil the magic, right? Everybody remembers Fred as this kind guy in a sweater, and he absolutely was that. And part of our worry was, well, is it sort of like giving away a magician's tricks to go under the hood and figure out how exactly Fred did what he did? And I think the effect for both of us was the opposite, to understand how much work and research and intention went into every single moment that Fred created in Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, and that he was able to sustain that kind of work and intention for almost 40 years across almost 900 episodes is kind of astounding, and it only made us respect him that much more.
Thank you, Sean.
I have a question. My name is Liz Wise. I'm on the school board. Did you meet with Mr. Rogers, and what was his thoughts on the book? Just out of curiosity.
Fred passed nearly a quarter century ago,
he did.
I had the great pleasure and honor in this life of knowing Mr. Rogers, and Ryan and I both know many of the people who worked on the neighborhood. Margie Whitmer, Heather Sherapin, Bill Eisler, David Newell, who was Mr. Speedy Delivery. And we knew Mrs. Rogers. I had a chance to know her during the last couple decades of her life. And the first 2 phone calls that we made when we're like, okay, we're going to do this book. One was to this gentleman I mentioned, Bill Eisler, who was president of Family Communications. And the other one was to Joanne Rogers. And what you need to know about Joanne is, you could see how the two of them were such a phenomenal couple, how they supported one another, and she was an amazing human being in her own right, a master pianist, and really worked hard to preserve the legacy of Fred after his passing, helped to establish the Fred Rogers Institute, which is vibrant today at St. Vincent College, really repositioned Fred Rogers Productions, which is the successor company of the Family Communications and is the largest producer today of children's multimedia in this country. When you think about shows like Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood, Odd Squad, and some other productions. And Joanne was the one who was incredibly encouraging, was excited about this. She wrote the foreword to the book. We dare say the best part of the book itself. It's probably the last thing on planet Earth, honestly, that she did in terms of creative output. And she was the one who both revealed that, there is a blueprint, that if it could be documented, but it's really important that you not present Fred as a saint. Because if this blueprint feels like it's behind a plexiglass wall or in a safe, it's going to be inaccessible. And the thing about Fred's work is that it needs to be accessible because it was accessible. He was a human just like you and me. He got mad, he got angry. He wasn't a saint. He was a good guy, yes. What distinguished Fred was that he was deliberate and intentional. And if our educators in and out of school, early childhood through higher education, could be intentional and deliberate in applying the science the way Fred did, we could make better places. And so Joanne was the one who really gave us an incredible blessing. And Liz, she passed just a short bit before the book was actually published.
6 weeks maybe, yeah.
So we got to talk to her along the way. I will tell you, it was crushing, her passing, because it was also unexpected, and we never got to share the final product with her.
Oh. Hi, unfortunately you see the back of my head because I run the camera, so I couldn't switch it. We'll see if Abby can.
Well, you're doing a great job.
You got it.
Abby figured it out. Something toward the end of your book, well, actually the whole book was really meaningful, so thank you, but I really liked the chapters on connection. I'm a parent of actually five kids, 4 teenagers, and one 20-something. And I noticed their inclination to want to isolate sometimes. And I just wondered if, based on your knowledge of Fred Rogers, what is one key piece of advice you'd think he'd give parents to encourage their kids to connect when things like phones and screens and devices can really help them safety up and entertain themselves?
I'm going to let Greg take this one because I have the opposite problem of isolation.
A nice punch there, Ryan. So, we've had this book wonderfully is in its 11th printing, and we've had a chance to travel around the country to meet with educators, leaders like you, and also video game developers and toy makers and people who are producing products. And oftentimes we get the question, well, what is it that Fred would do? And we're quick to say we wouldn't want to speak for Fred himself. But what we can say is this, that Fred, when Fred noticed the technology of his day, that newfangled television, right? He noticed how it was attractive to young people and said, how do I make what's attractive good and constructive? And when we look at the best of the producers today, the toy makers, the VR specialists, the AI developers and others, they have that same Fred sensibility of how do I lead with goodness and make what I know is attractive to young people good and constructive. And so Fred's admonition to producers and media makers all along the way was always find the relationship, because these tools, when used well, can actually facilitate relationship, knowing that they can also, that there's a downside to them, that they can suppress and depress those relationships. And so when he encouraged media makers or others that approach him, he always said that there's a way to create relationships. And in fact, he had this sensibility of approaching every single television program as a visit, as an experience. As he often said, and as we write about in the book, he was thinking about one buckaroo on the other side, which is what we encourage today's developers to do. Because when used well, they can facilitate a relationship. Although Fred was also quick to say, they can't give you a hug. And so there's some human things that we need to develop better than the technology will ever do. Ryan, was that?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think.
How'd I do, Virginia? Virginia, I do okay there.
She hasn't spit out her Bluey toy, so far so good. I wouldn't disagree with anything you said, Greg. The thing that came to mind again and again, and I think it might be in that chapter that you mentioned about connection, is the study that came out of the University of Washington. They followed kids for 40 years. One group had help building stronger relationships with their caregivers. The other group got no intervention. It was placebo. And what they found over the course of 40 years was that cohort that got the extra support, that had stronger relationships with their parents and caregivers, outperformed their peers on everything. They were more likely to be healthy. They were less likely to be incarcerated. They were making more money. They were even more likely to vote. And what those scientists boiled 40 years worth of research down to is just being there. And I think that can be hard when a child is isolating, but I think that consistent offering of oneself and just making that child who might be isolating, letting him or her know that you are there and that you'll be there if and when they decide to put the phone down, and they will eventually. Just that knowing might be more important than anything you could possibly do in that moment. That's the study that came to mind when you raised that issue. And I know I'm heading down toward that myself with my kids.
So you kind of stole my topic. But I think sense of belonging is just really, it comes through in the book in many, many ways. And I think that you can find ways to isolate very easily. And I don't even think it's necessarily only our teenagers. I think our adults do that as well. And there's a statement that really came through to me that I think is true of our school board and the work that we do together as a school community. It takes a team to make a neighborhood better. And really what I hope we can continue to do is to help our students learn that they're a part of the team that makes the neighborhood better, because they stay, they root down, and then, that really over generations of time creates a really supportive environment that allows the sense of belonging to grow. That's not a question, but you are welcome to add.
No, but it elicits a comment, and that is, it makes one think of, I like you just the way you are, which Fred reminded us all the time. And we note, right, that when Fred said that, he wasn't saying that everything you do is good or everything that you say is okay. What he was saying was, you're worthy of this neighborhood. And the extent to which we, as the adults in kids' lives, whether we're in close proximity or farther away from them, but still part of that community and that neighborhood, convey that sensibility that you're worthy of this neighborhood. That means everything.
And kids have to believe it, right? They have to believe that the adults actually believe in them. And, in terms of setting the tone or creating that atmosphere that conveys that sensibility. I don't know your school district well, but I do know your superintendent. And it seems like you all are off to a good start.
Yeah, one of the... go ahead, Leah.
Okay. Leah Stanley, I'm remote today, so I'm in Texas dialing in. But you were talking about, being careful to not reveal too much behind the magician. But I think it's important for all of us, like you see Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood and you read through the book and you see all these like simple truths that we know these things. When you read them, you're like, yes, that completely makes sense. But understanding all of the science that kind of went behind that, I felt that was very meaningful. Like that it made the program that we all watched with kids like, oh, well, that wasn't just, it didn't just happen. It happened for a reason. And so I really enjoyed that kind of peek behind the curtain. So my question is, I have two actually. After you've written the book, what is one thing you've heard or learned that maybe as feedback that really surprised you, that maybe you hadn't thought about before you wrote the book? And my second question is there anything you would change about the book and what you wrote?
I'm going to let Ryan take number two. All right, Leah. So, this book will celebrate its 5th birthday this April, which is a reminder that the book was released at the height of the pandemic. And say during those first 2 years, as we were doing all sorts of Zoom meetings and then ultimately out on the road all across this country, the really unexpected thing at that time was how often we heard the word healing. Like this book brought me healing. It recentered me. It reset me. It helped me reconnect to my community in a way that I felt distant. And that's really a reflection of those times. And it's easy to comment about that now, but that wasn't something for which Ryan and I were prepared. It wasn't a reason that we wrote the book. And so that audience reaction really, just surprised us. Yeah.
And thank you for your comments about, the peek behind the curtain. I think to answer your first question, again, the best compliment we ever got, in my opinion, was somebody said, reading your book is like going to church. And you don't go to church to learn new things. You go to church to be reminded of what you already know to be true. And I think, the reason this book has resonated with teachers so much is because it validates the things that they know to be true. The things that really matter when it comes to learning and growing and developing and connecting with one another. If we had to do it again, I don't know that we would want to market it as a book for parents. What we hear again and again from readers is that I got something, me as a human being, there are things that I as an adult can continue to learn from Fred, and that are I can be useful in my own life. And so maybe we would write part 2, When You Wonder You're Learning, for adults.
So I'm going to add a PS to that, Leah. So one of the great honors and privileges is that as we've traveled about, we've picked up so many great examples of things either teachers were already doing or that they were inspired to do by the book. And really either physical installations in their classrooms or new teaching methods, new approaches, new partners. I feel the numbers of examples we could provide in a third edition of the book would be incredibly rich. And
we probably write a whole new book just out of those examples. What people have shared with us is incredible.
Yeah, and we use them in presentations, and we have a newsletter that we write and a podcast that we host, and so we find ways to integrate it all in, but they would be in the book if there were another edition.
So one of the cliches that we often hear is kids don't care to learn until they learn you care. And Dr. Smith, Sean, and I got what I consider to be probably one of the most touching emails from a staff member last week. It was, I believe, a nurse at one of our buildings who was caring for a second grader who offered up as she finished taking care of his needs about how much he appreciated being at the school and really feeling cared for there. He was a relatively new student to the school, from what I understand, and it just really comes back to a lot of what you guys talk. There's a lot of science, obviously, and neuroscience that are involved in these things, but at the end of the day, you can do a lot of things, but if you don't build those relationships and build that trust with kids, it's going to be hard to move them. And that was one of the things that piqued my interest. Number one, I know both of you know Terry Thorin from Wonder Media, and for the past 3 years, as I've gotten to know him through our district's partnership with the social emotional learning cohort through AASA and the mental health cohort, which are now combined, he's probably one of the largest champions for you guys in your book in terms of trying to convince people to read it. And I don't know how many times he suggested that to me, and I think he might have even sent me a copy of your book. But it wasn't until I met you and saw you facilitate a room of, I don't know how many there were, 50 to 70 superintendents around these topics, that it really triggered in me. We've done a lot of work in college readiness, career readiness, and the one piece I think we're still needing to nail down is that life readiness piece. And I think a lot of what you focus on through your book on Mr. Rogers is really touching about those universal things that matter no matter where you're at, what you're doing, that help position people for success. And that's absolutely, we want every kid that comes through our school district to feel the way that second grader did, that they belong and they feel cared for. And we want to position all of them through college and or career, but probably most importantly, life readiness for success beyond high school, in whatever path they choose. So I thank you guys for taking the time tonight and for providing the world with this book for which they can reflect and learn, and hopefully we'll continue to be connected in the future. Especially, I think I've shared with you that our administrative team and our teacher leaders, both at the district and building level, have all been working with Ellen in terms of piloting her work as it relates to the real skills work, and we're probably 3 sessions in, I think, now, and we'll be continuing that work through the end of the year. And I know that they're going to make a lot of connections between, my team will make a lot of connections between what you've written about and what they're learning through that as well.
That's great. Well, Ellen has curated a remarkable set of modules, including we all got to hear David Yeager speak, and we just had David Yeager. We recorded him on our podcast for our upcoming 10th season. So some of those folks that were in that room, you'll hear on our own podcast. And if it's a supplemental help to you, please take advantage of them. I will say, too, one of these days, my bucket list, I'm going to be doing that bike ride through Iowa. So I'm hoping the year that I do that it comes right through Utah.
This is it. This is the summer. It's stopping overnight in Marshalltown.
Yes.
This is
have
it.
Are you kidding me?
No, this is it.
Called Rag Rye.
Yep.
Sign up.
What are the dates? I gotta. Okay, I won't waste your time. I'll look this up.
July 22nd.
That's so great.
July 22nd.
Well, thank you all. What you do, our schools and our school communities and our public schools are what keep our communities in this country together, and your leadership means so much to your neighborhood. So thank you.
Yeah, I can't think of a more important, more thankless, and worse paying job. And I'm so happy that you all are willing to step up and do it for your kids and for your community. And we're so grateful for your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
You're up, girls.
Woohoo.
Years, Liz.
How did I not know that? Time just flies.
It really does.
There's your laugh for the. Well.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just trying to figure out this thing. The library staff are working on a project for teacher appreciation. Students can make videos shouting out teachers who have made an impact in their life. At a time where teachers are burnt out and underappreciated, this is a great time to show appreciation to them and thank them for all the work that they do for us. This one was Namadi's Light, and she made a video for Miss Swan and Dr. Hawk. Dr. Hawk is always there when I need a recommendation or to drive us to speech competitions and support us. Miss Swan always makes me feel comfortable and safe. You can tell she truly cares about her students and is always forgiving and kind, and we need more of that. On March 10th from 8:30 to 11:30, students will be able to go to different sessions covering their top 3 career interests at the MCC Career Expo. It's a great opportunity that the school has provided. I'm pretty sure it's just for the juniors. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about that for next week. On the 12th, I think this was in February, students had the opportunity to attend the MHS business event being held in the library. It was a great opportunity to learn about different business majors and related careers and hear directly from college advisors and participate in hands-on activities. That was for juniors and seniors only. On Thursday, the 19th, juniors and seniors have the opportunity to attend the MCC Animal Career Trip. Is perfect for the students who are passionate about animals and are wanting to pursue a degree in biology or a career in an animal shelter, something like that. Students will learn about the fundamentals of animal care and focus on animals such as pets, exotic animals, and wildlife.
Okay. Next on for Bobcat Athletics. We've had a very, very fun month. There was one heck of a month last month. So for boys swimming, we had one state qualifier, which was Jacob Seeberger. We were super excited for him. Sadly, he did not go on. I have another slide about that. He had competed in 2 different events and was swimming at the state championships. He finished 31st in the 50-yard freestyle and then 29th in the 100-yard breaststroke. He seeded 30th in both events and did not advance to the finals, but he did a very, very good job. Boys and girls basketball, the boys ended their season with a loss in their first round qualifying game against Iowa City High. We know Iowa City is pretty good at basketball. Girls ended their season with a loss in their second round qualifying game against Dowling. Nobody can beat Dowling. They're too good. And then boys wrestling had their districts Friday, February 14th, in which we had our 5 state qualifiers. We will show the next slide. Okay, so for our 5 state qualifiers, and I'm going to go over everything that Cross and Isgrig and both boys basically just said, but we had our 5 state qualifiers, which is Nick Wise, Dalton Zedacek, Nicholas Million, Nacho Macias, and then Carson Wright, and I will go over some of the happies that happened there. So sadly, both Nacho and Carson lost their first matches and their consolation matches. They were very, very fun to watch. They did very good, and we were very proud of them. They ended their senior season very, very, very well. Super proud. Nick Million, if I can find it, he went 3-2 at state, falling in the blood round. He was so close, but he's a little fighter, and we're super proud of him as well. He also did really good. Dalton, he lost his 3rd, 4th place match, seeded him 4th on the podium. He did very, very well for his senior season. Also, after his breaking his hand, there was a lot of emotions, not knowing if he was going to come back as strong as he started. But thankfully, he was able to heal quickly, get back into it, and absolutely kick it the last couple of weeks. And then Nick, we love Mr. Nicholas Wise. He destroyed the competition. The last match against Will Oberbrockling was a very, very stressful match, and he did very, very well under pressure. He killed it. But yes, we're very proud of all the boys that went to state, did their best. Round of applause for them. I'm so proud. Okay. And then, per usual, every semester we have our NHS blood drive. The NHS blood drive is going to be held in the auditorium lobby on March 5th. It's never too late to sign up, so please email Fritzell if you want to come and donate. We always need more blood. The more blood, the better. Her email is on there if you need it, and yes, please just let her know. Greatly appreciated. I think that's it.
Good. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Perfect, thank you.
Welcome.
So I'm here tonight with Captain Kyle Stevenson with the Marshtown Police Department to talk about a training that we recently completed. In August, prior to the 2025-2026 school year, staff members within the district were trained by the Marshtown Police Department in violent intruder training. The first of the 2-part training was held at the Marshtown Performing Arts Center with Sergeant Wyatt Shelenkowski providing the instruction that was focused on an overview of the violent intruder training, showing staff members, in essence, that a person generally has choices if ever confronted by a violent intruder. Questions and answers followed the initial training that were answered by Sergeant Shelenkowski and Captain Stevenson. The second part of the training consisted of each school building doing a roundtable discussion in the respective school talking about evacuation, situational awareness, and barricading, which Captain Stevenson will discuss in more detail in a moment. Linehan Miller, Marshtown High School, and Marshtown Learning Academy did the second part in October, with all elementary schools completing the roundtable in January. This training was done on the professional development days and performed by the trained violent intruder instructors with Marshtown Police Department. The district has received many positive remarks from staff regarding the training, such as informative, practical, helpful, and with gratitude. Regardless, for some, this information can create some anxiousness, which was addressed prior to the training.
All right, like Eric said, I'm Kyle Stevenson, captain with Marshtown PD. Eric likes to give credit to a lot of people, but you guys should be happy to have Eric with you. I'm proud to work with Eric a lot. We collaborate on a lot of different safety-related things for the school district. And I think building the relationship between the PD and the school district is very important for us to reach out to the community and be part of the community. We enjoy being a resource for the school district. So anytime I'm in the schools, I always tell them, like, call us anytime. This is what we're here for. So this is something, this violent intruder training is an unfortunate necessity. This is something that we have to do. A lot of people don't like this, us included, but this is a very important training that the district needs. And the nice thing is, working with the PD, you're getting the training from the people that are going to be responding, so it's easy for us to explain to you, this is what it's going to look like when we show up. This is our expectations for you. And then instead of a cookie cutter approach from a bigger group, we can actually look at each individual building and address specific issues. So when Eric and I set out to do this, we put together a comprehensive plan for the training. We set up to do a big overview where we bring everybody together, or as many people as we can, and go over the concepts and some ideas, the things that you do. But then we also did individual training at each building. So in the fall, we hit the upper grades, MHS, MLA, Linehan Miller. And then here just this past month, we hit all the elementary schools and we coordinated to do all those. So the nice thing is, by being in the individual buildings, we can address the teacher that says, hey, I'm in the art room and I've got these 2 doors. How do I do this? Let's go down there and take a look. So we could kind of customize it to individuals, and I think that was helpful. So I love the district. I love being part of this and helping out, and I love the relationship we've built, and I look forward to continuing on with anything we can do for you, but specifically this type of training.
I would like to recognize a few people that were beneficial in this. Dr. Shauna Smith for allowing this to happen on a very competitive professional development calendar. Thank you. Obviously, the Marshtown Police Department Chief Chris Jones and Captain Stevenson for their leadership in providing the training. Sergeant Wyatt Shalankowski for the initial training in August. Makeup trainings in Part 2 instruction in the schools. Lieutenant Chad Hillers, Sergeant Dane Bowermaster, School Resource Officer Logan Wolf, that guy, you remember him. Officer Nicholas Jewell, and then finally the IT Department for flawless technology issues during the training. Thank you, Amy.
Questions from anybody?
I just want to say I really appreciate that the PD is open to doing this and works directly with the school on this. Like you said, a lot of, it's a scary thing, but the teachers kind of having that muscle memory and working with teachers to have that muscle memory so that when something happens, they have a plan in their head and know what to do to keep our kids safe. I think that is that's something that is very important, and I'm glad that you are doing that with us. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
It's you guys. Our turn.
Good evening, everybody. Amy, can you bring up the, let's do the bond summary document first, please? So ultimately, guys, we're here for kind of the culmination of a lot of efforts over the last multiple years of just putting all of this together. And tonight is really kind of to celebrate a big milestone for this project. So this is coming after we had our main bid opening for the rest of Miller Middle School, where we had 25 different packages that were up for bid. Going into that, we had approximately 80 anticipated bids. Over the course of that bid opening, we had 66 bids over 25 packages. We do have 2 bid packages that will have to be rebid, but by and large, we had a great turnout and had an opportunity to bring to you guys right now. If everything continues to pan out with these other 2 bid packages, which we are anticipating that it will, we're going to be within 1% of where we were at when we had the conversation of budgets at our 95%. And that's 1% to the good side. So we're going to be under budget with the opportunity to potentially capture some of these alternates. So what you guys are seeing up here right now is the $99 million number that is incorrectly listed as Miller DD 95%, should be Miller 100% CD budget, is $527,000 under the overall amount. Listed below is going to be all of the alternates that we had out for bid. You're going to see a grouping at the top that will be finalized at the April board meeting once we come back with the results and the recommendations for the 2 bid packages that have to be rebid, one of which is theater equipment, the other one is subgrade waterproofing. We have some costs for the alternates in alternate 1, and the positive about the timing that we have with this is we're able to keep all of these alternates open for a period of 60 days that allows us to get through to that April board meeting. So once we have the rest of those bids in, we'll be able to determine which bids or which alternates we could potentially select. There is one tonight that we're going to be recommending for award, which was discussed, I believe, when we actually talked about the 95% budget, and that is the added parking in the west parking lot. If we remember, the base was just to the code required amount. This adds another 2 rows of parking to the west of that parking lot that allows us to basically fill up that entire west parking lot. So that one would be one that we are recommending tonight for award. Amy, if you want to go to the, she's not here. If we can go to the amendment document. So this amendment document that you guys have probably all had a chance to look at as well should look very familiar to what we have seen previously. It's going to be the same format, cover page with the signature. You can keep rolling through this one because there's a lot of this is just going to be the same. So typical exclusions, any of our clarifications, then we get into all the list of drawings, all the list of specifications.
Page 15.
Yep, it's going to be 15 because all of this is specifications. And so here's our meat and potatoes of it. Let's zoom in on that top portion if we can. So as we go through here, you guys are going to see the ones that were previously awarded that we were ahead at previous meetings, which is going to be precast concrete, exterior glazing, and elevators. And then there's the 2 that are noted to be rebid, which is 7.2 subgrade waterproofing, and then 11.3 theater equipment. All of the rest of those, we are seeking approval tonight and bringing the recommendation to award. Anything, Michael, you want to add to where we're at with scope reviews?
Yeah, I could chime in on scope reviews. So as a process, after bid day, Boyd Jones conducts a minimum of an hour to an hour and a half meeting with every single contractor to go through what their bid results were, make sure they have all the scope covered. Do they have all the certificates to perform the work, specifically steelwork, things like that? And based on our results, all the trade partners that are listed here, specifically several that are local, are very eager to see this get approved this evening and hit the ground running here. As we go through these, anything that has came up, we've vented through those and brought those up. But at this time, like Mitch said, these are the contractors that were the low responsible bidder that we're recommending to be approved at this meeting.
One item I noticed on here that did not get changed. Numbers are correct, but bid package 10.1, Media Quest signage is not the low responsible bidder. It will actually be Nagel Signs. So we'll make that update and get that updated document back to the group. If you want to just scroll down through this, Amy. So what this is recommending award is going to be not only the trade partner contracts, but also the rest of the cost within the overall project, less anything that would be tied to the 2 bid packages that will be rebid, which total just over $2 million. So this would be the remaining portion of that. So if you want to keep scrolling down, Amy, I want to go to the alternate. So here you'll see the alternate, which is alternate number 5, the west parking expansion is the only one that is included in this amount right now. The goal would be is that once we get the bids in for the rebid, which is on the 19th, we will take that next couple weeks to determine all the costs for the other alternates and have some conversations ahead of that board meeting in April to discuss which alternates would want to be taken. Again, the good thing with those is they don't go away after 60 days. If there is something that we can't take right now, Michael and team are going to continue to be working with the trade partners, working with the design team to find more efficient ways to potentially not utilize some of the change allowance that we have included in here, because we do have $1.8 million in owner contingency, as well as about that much in general change allowance within the construction costs that are used for items that are unforeseen that come up as we work through construction. And if we start to not utilize that the further we get into construction, even if these alternates have to be repriced, they're still there for an option to be taken at a later date. And as we get into construction, Michael and team will continue to monitor those and determine when are kind of those deadlines to be able to make some of those decisions so it doesn't impact the overall schedule to the project. So that being said, there's a lot of information in this, but any questions or anything that you guys would like to discuss as a group?
You want to provide clarification? We put in budget numbers for the 2 packages.
Correct. So the bond summary has the 2 budgeted amounts included in that 99 million. So that is where we're saying that we're less than 1% under budget. So if those come in under, then we're going to be even further under budget.
If the 2 things that are out for rebid.
Correct.
Both of those things are early on in the project, though, right? The waterproofing as well as the theater equipment, because that's one of the first things worked on.
It would be that would be part of phase 1, but it's probably later in phase 1 for the theater equipment portion. Subgrade waterproofing, yes, would be.
Mm-hmm. Subgrade waterproofing be summer of 2026, correct, Judy?
Do we know why those, especially the subgrade waterproofing, like what happened? Why did we not get any bidders, and what have we done to try to correct that?
Subgrade waterproofing was a unique one. Hindsight being what it was, that one probably could have been included with a general trades package. We did, obviously going into bid day, you have high hopes. We had 2 groups that said that they were going to bid. I'm not certain exactly what the reasoning was for those 2 not bidding. However, we have those 2 along with a couple others that are now showing interest, as well as I believe that we're talking to our general trades group about potentially picking that up as a bid package as well. The theater equipment one, that one, again, I think we've talked about the process for Iowa bidding and having to have the hard copy be in person till we're blue in the face. We can tell these folks about this, but we had people that emailed them to us on bid day from the theater equipment. So we know one was absolutely going to bid, but said he couldn't get it to FedEx in time. Emailed it to us, asked us if we could print it, which is obviously against the law for us to be able to do something like that. So we told him, no, you're going to have to just not be able to bid this. We had 2 others that were, according to one of the suppliers, FedExing theirs in, did not. All 3 of these are planning to bid now. There was one that, as we had, if you guys were here, or anybody that wasn't, we kind of had an assembly line going here of people grabbing bids, handing them down, opening them up, making sure that addenda were acknowledged, and making sure that they had bid bonds in there. There was one bid for the theater package that was not seen within the folders, and so we had one on bid day However, I think we would have chosen to not open that, knowing that we had multiple, and knowing that the timeline for those was okay within the schedule. Just because there was another piece that didn't make it in the last addendum that impacted that theater package. So I don't think that the coverage coming into this rebid is going to be a concern. It was just more kind of the nature of the beast on people not following directions on some of these.
So from I guess a cost standpoint, you guys are you feel pretty good?
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like we have enough contingency or change allowance built into this to help with, I think we all know this project is going to be a little bit messy when we start opening up walls and we start opening up a building that is this old. Having those safeguards in place now, I think makes all of us on our side feel much more comfortable going into a project like this. And especially knowing that we had enough interest to get this thing in under budget, that there's still going to be some avenues to potentially utilize that for some of these alternates that maybe we can't get in now.
Are there other questions or comments?
What was the showing from local companies?
Amy, can you go?
And were we able to accept most of those local company bids?
Yeah, go for it.
Yes, Amy's gonna scroll up
Right
back
there.
Perfect. So yes, I believe we had 3 to 4 specifically to Marshalltown. Going through the actual scope review process, there's more people than that either A, went to Marshalltown or live in Marshalltown. So, but just for firms that are based and do a lot of work in Marshalltown, concrete, masonry and earthwork right off the bat, or local contractors to the metro. Our flooring company is is out of Indianola, but the guy running the job actually lives next to Miller Middle School. Those are just things we've ran through, going through all these different trades. As we start kind of evolving the team, superintendents, PMs, we're starting to find more people that actually have, more connections to Miller than what we thought. So at some point, I'm going to provide Dr. Schutte a list of who we've came up with, because it was actually kind of interesting as Josh and I went through this over the past week and a half. Let's see. There's a couple firms from Cedar Falls, Waterloo, which is pretty close. The rest are pretty local, the companies that Adam Papish, Peter, I've worked with in the past.
Leah and I would add that we had reached out and talked to multiple groups here within the community that just said, hey, this is just too big of an animal for us to be able to be a part of. One of those was a glazing company that had come and walked, and as soon as he saw the scope, he said, I'd love to, it's just not something that I can handle.
Thank you for that, and thank you for keeping track of that for us. I think that'll be a great list for Dr. Schutte to have longer term.
Absolutely.
Anything else from anybody? So right now I'm going to ask you, what's the recommendation, what's the action item that needs to take place?
Action item would be approving the, so there is a board resolution there, which is just for legal proceedings, that is going to list out all the little bidders that you've seen on the document that was provided by Boyd Jones. So there's an official resolution with that, but then also the contract amendment number 4 from Boyd Jones awarding the bids for all of those individuals listed, and then also authorizing Boyd Jones to put the subgrade waterproofing and theater equipment bid packages out for rebid.
Thank you. Yep. What's the timeline for the rebid? When are those?
So we'll have the bids back on the 19th, and then we'll turn around, and we would have done it at the second board meet. We would have probably tried to have them bid earlier and do the second board meeting in March, but with Theron and Randy both out, we wanted to push to April because it wasn't going to impact the schedule. So then we could have them here in attendance as well.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from anybody? Okay, then is there a motion to approve the resolution and contract amendment 4 from Boyd Jones awarding bids for the middle school project and authorizing Boyd Jones to put the subgrade waterproofing and theater equipment bid packages out for rebid as presented?
So moved.
Second.
That's Wise Stanley. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. That motion carries 5-0. Eric stepped out. No.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much, guys. Bring back some more good news in April. And for the next couple of years here out, right? Just nothing but good news, guys.
I think Shooty has it where I gave it to him in 2 weeks.
Okay, I'm going to do these in chunks, I think, tonight. So the first two items are related, so I'll speak to them first. The resolution for opening bids, that wording's a little bit misleading. There is a resolution I have here, but it's just part of the procedural process whenever we do a bond sale. Usually it's Dr. Shruti, myself, and then our financial reps from Piper Sandler that will receive the bids, open them, review them, things of that nature. So we did, if you recall, this Series A, as we'll refer to it, of general obligation bonds, roughly 3.6 million. This is what we pre-levied in a year ago. So we've issued and we're levying the taxes in the current fiscal year for these bonds. That was done to, we were in a position last year with the certified budget to be able to pre-levy the dollars so that we could have more project dollars for the project and also, look at paying out bonds sooner. As I'll get into with the way the bid came in for this particular series today, I did get confirmation from Piper Sandler this afternoon that with where things are sitting right now, and as we're going to continue to progress down the financing for this, because it'll be in phases, so we'll be doing another Series B GEO bond issuance later this summer. A year from now, we'll be doing a sales tax bond issuance. The year after that, so we're going to flip-flop the next few years. But when we get to the last series issuance in 2029, currently we'll be able to pay that one down in under 20 years. And so instead of paying it off in 2049, we're looking at 2045 paying it off. So already by doing this process, we've cut 4 years off of paying the bonds, which is several $100,000 worth of savings cost and interest. And then also with where things are looking out, now granted there's still some estimates to come, and then depending on what happens at the legislative level with tax reform and some of the conversations around the save dollars being siphoned off sooner rather than later, that might impact some of the save bond financing, but at least on the GEO bond side, we might have some flexibility to either not have to levy the full $2.70 in future years, or we could levy the full $2.70 and pay down the bonds even faster. So we have a few levers to work with there. So with that, since we've already levied the tax dollars for this year, we essentially, after we collect our April tax payments, we'll essentially have all the full funds received for this current year. So it's a short-term issuance, so we wanted to just try to make this simple. So working with Piper Sandler, we put out bids to all of our local banks here in town, and then as well as a handful of banks across the state that have bid on similar issuances in the last several years. We only got one response, which I'm happy to say it's from our primary bank here in town that we currently utilize, which is First Interstate Bank. And they gave us a very favorable interest rate on that. So it's going to be, there's and Tom's here to speak to it if he wants to, but there's a CD rate, an APAEY of a 0.01% plus the coupon rate of 2%. So essentially 2.01%. For these bond issuance. It'll be a 2-month short-term issuance, so we'll issue it here in the next month or so, pay them off in June. One of the ask or requirements for this was that we would have collateral on hand, and we do have funds on hand already in our bank account to establish a CD with First Interstate, and we'll continue to maintain our working relationship with them. But overall, I had it here a minute ago. So the total issuance is, 3.63, yeah, bond proceeds will be 3.625 million. There's about $29,000 in issuance costs that pays our fees to Piper as well as Allers, and then there's some additional fees on top of the interest to the bank of about $9,000 there. So sitting pretty well with just under $3.6 million available to be put towards this project. And so that's essentially what I'm recapping in that first resolution for opening item there. The next item there would be the formal board resolution action to approve selling the bonds to First Interstate Bank as presented with the terms that are outlined there.
Questions from anybody? So we're getting a favorable rate, as I understand it, essentially because we're going to buy a CD and use that as collateral,
Yep.
and they're just going to loan us our own money back, essentially. Tom, do I have that about right? Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Everybody wins.
Okay. Zach?
Abstain.
You need to abstain, right? Okay. So we need a resolution.
Motion to approve the resolution directing the sale of
for the sale of
bonds
bond, right?
to First Interstate.
Yep,
Correct.
okay.
Yep.
So is there a motion to approve the resolution directing the sale of approximately $3,630,000 in GO bonds, Series 2026A, as presented?
So moved.
Second.
That's Morales Wise. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. And one abstention. So the motion carries 5-0 with one abstention.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. The next one, again, this is just the legal wording. It's slightly confusing because, so for Series B, now that this is the one issuance we're going to do in the summer, it's roughly going to be estimated like around 36 million, I believe. But this resolution is, with that, we have to also, since we're in the middle of budget season and we're not selling the bonds quite yet, we have to authorize this issuance of approximately 53.37 million, which is the $57 million that was approved by the voters back in November, less this Series A that you just approved. We're not going to pre-levy or issue for the full 53 million, but with the legal wording of the resolution, it's just the flexibility we have to give ourselves because we don't know how much we're going to sell the bonds exactly for yet. Based off of how the sale for Series A came in today, that's going to allow us to actually probably levy for a little bit more in the summer. But with the certified budget process, we still need to pre-levy so that we can levy the taxes on and do that 270 levy for the fiscal year 27 budget, which we are currently working on and is due to the Department of Management by April 30th. So I think I covered that. And then the second item is just the engagement letter so that Allers and Cooney can get to work right away on that bond issuance and serve as our bond and disclosure counsel as they have on all of our other previous long-term debt issuances. And I think in their engagement letter, again, they referenced roughly the estimated 36.335 million. So I need two motions here, one for the resolution authorizing the pre-levy for the tax, and then one for approving the engagement letter with Allers to proceed as our bond counsel.
Any questions for Randy? Okay, then is there a motion to approve the resolution authorizing issuance of approximately $53,370,000 in GO bonds and levying a tax for the payment thereof as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
We're going to give it to Leah because there's a little bit of a delay. So Guslinga, Stanley, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion carries. Zach, are you abstaining from this one as well?
Yes.
Okay, so that motion carries 5-0 with one abstention. And then we need a motion to approve the engagement letter with Allers and Cooney to serve as bond and disclosure counsel for the upcoming General Obligation Series 2026B bond issue as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Morales, Wise. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Zach, are you abstaining on this one as well?
Yes.
Okay. That motion carries 5-0 with one abstention.
All right. Last two items here are related to the certified budget. First one is the budget guarantee resolution. Senate file was signed into law last week by the governor, setting SSA at 2%. As we've discussed, anything under 2.59% SSA was going to put us on the budget guarantee. One thing I'm not fully sure of yet, I haven't seen details on it, is with the new Senate file that was passed. It is stating, essentially, my understanding is that the state's going to backfill the budget guarantee for districts this year as part of the property tax relief that they're still currently working through, but it's just good practice. So I don't know if the budget guarantee is going to be funded through property taxes yet. We're going to work through that over the next few weeks as we continue to gain a better understanding of the Senate file and how it's impacting districts. But it's just a good practice to pass the budget guarantee. And from my understanding and talking with John Parker, the Department of Management, even if you are on a budget guarantee, whether it's being funded through property taxes or not, it's just best practice to approve that resolution. And then I'll just stop there and then I'll talk about the second item. I'll get the motion first.
Any questions for Randy about the resolution for the budget guarantee? If not, is there a motion to approve the budget guarantee resolution as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Wise, Morales. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. That motion carries 6-0.
Yeah, so the next item is related to the setting a public hearing date for the proposed property tax notice. So at the last board meeting, I had spoke about where we were at with the property tax notices. If you recall, that's that first public hearing, first of two, that we have to have with the certified budget process each year. Information was due to the county auditors by March 5th. We submitted ours late last week based off of the information that I had shared at the last board meeting. Again, that statement's just going to set the max property tax dollars that'll be levied. We'll likely scale that back as things start to come into focus and the budget picture becomes clearer over the next few weeks. But initially, we were going to do March 23rd for that public hearing, but with the potential for me to be out at the next meeting and then hoping to join virtually in the April meetings, we're going to push setting the public hearing back for April 6th. So the timeline that I previously shared, everything from March 23rd on, is getting pushed back a meeting. But looking for a motion because there are statutory publication requirements as far as publishing a notice in the newspaper. We also have to post this on our website as well as our social media pages as well for this first public hearing regarding this property tax notice. So looking for a motion to set that public hearing for the April 6th meeting.
Any questions? Then is there a motion to approve setting a public hearing for April 6, 2026 at 5 p.m. for the 2627 proposed tax notice and directing the board secretary to publish notice in compliance with Iowa code?
Can we get a clarification?
Yeah.
Are we having a March meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
The 23rd. It would, yes, we are. Just going to be a little light in staffing, I think. So,
You want to come sit at the center table?
or potentially could be light in staffing. So, I'm going to push the exciting things to the April 6th meeting.
And that still gives us plenty of time to
Correct.
do everything that we need to do? Okay.
Correct. Yep. Yeah, we have till April 30th to finalize everything, so pushing back one meeting is not going to impact anything. Other questions, comments? Anyone want to make a motion?
I'll move on the motion that was previously stated.
Second.
Gazlinga Morales, all in favor can say aye.
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 Opposed, say no. That motion carries 6-0. And then, Leah, you had initial review policies.
I did. You were correct. Okay, so we had 3 initial review policies. And let me just, sorry, I'm trying to deal with like having everything on one screen here. So the first one is 3031 administrative positions. This just lists the different administrative titles that we approve as a school district. And so that one is recommended, no changes, marked as reviewed. The second is 303.2 administrator qualifications, recruitment and appointment. Again, no changes to that. Mark as reviewed. And then the third is 303.3, and that is about the administrator contract and contract renewal process. Again, no changes. Mark as reviewed is the recommendation.
Any questions for Leah? Okay, they will be marked as reviewed then. Thanks, Leah.
Yep, thank you.
Abby, any additional items for communications this evening?
Just our school district was on KCCI last week for vision program. Our nurses did a great job representing the district, sharing more information on that. And then I believe our Woodbury students potentially was also on KCCI for learning more from the weatherman recently, so all good stuff.
Okay. Any committee reports or committees meet since the last time we were all together?
Yeah, the Health Benefits Committee.
I don't know if Leah wants to talk about that.
Leah, do you want to talk about the Health Benefits Advisory Committee?
Sure. We looked at several different options. I thought there was good participation just from a variety of individuals across the district in that committee, and good questions asked. The proposal, or I guess the thought process, is to try to reduce the district's costs while impacting teachers the least amount we can. So we've been looking at a few different proposals. Randy, do you want me to talk to those at all or no?
Nothing's been finalized yet. I guess what I can say is that essentially based off of the conversations and the recommendations from the committee, we'll be looking at a 0% increase for insurance this upcoming year with some of the plan design changes that were recommended. And, kind of to Leah's point, there was, conversations around with the proposals that were made, technically we could decrease the cost if we so chose, but trying to also protect ourselves against future bad years, which will likely happen at some point. We felt the need or felt it best to hold those rates flat. And then that way, any increases that are given the staff in this upcoming year will be 100% salary to them. So that recommendation and summary of those conversations will be coming forth at the April 6th meeting.
Okay. Yeah, I thought it was good conversations.
Okay. Let's see, reminders. Eric, you've got initial review policies for the March 23rd meeting. No school presentations until the second meeting in April. Any items for a future agenda that anyone would like to see?
April 21st at 8:40 would be our last building visit at Anson.
At Anson?
If that works for calendars.
What's the date?
I have confirmation for you already. April 21st at 8:40.
Tuesday, April 21st,
If that,
8:40 a.m. at Anson Elementary School.
our last one.
Okay. Everybody check your calendars as soon as you can.
Yeah, do you want to share something on that?
I mean, we're not kidding. Check your email for the calendar. And then click yes or no on the calendar invite or.
When did you send the calendar invite?
I just now.
Okay.
Temporarily, we have changed some settings for calendars due to phishing attacks recently, to basically make sure that no one internally or externally can place reminders on our calendars without us having first accepted them. We're working through some other platforms to help us eventually kind of go back for convenience sake. But for now, yes, we ask that you look in your email, and when you receive an invite, you always click accept or maybe your decline based on what you can do. And then if you're sending an invite from your calendar, you always hit send the invite. Rather, there is an option that says don't send. So please send.
So in the past, if invite was sent, it would show up on your calendar. Now it's not unless you click yes, no, or maybe on that email.
Just responded.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, what have we done this evening to improve education for the students in Marshalltown?
We did all the bonds, so that'll be exciting. Very exciting.
I liked hearing from Woodbury too, on the improvements and the increases that they have done.
Well, I think today was just another example of the significant strides that have been made both in safety infrastructure as well as training for our employees to feel as ready as they can for some unexpected intruder events. So, and I think that having someone who's laser focused on that, and Eric, and then our just continued significantly positive relationship with the police department has been wonderful. Because they, prior to my arrival, we were very vested in Alice training, and from then that has been morphed into the current training that's taking place, and our employees we had been doing refreshers for a number of years, and our employees were really wanting face-to-face, hands-on, collaborative conversations with both district personnel as well as the police department. So I think that's gone a long ways in our readiness.
Okay. Justin, I assume that the guest for our closed session is not here yet. Would that be correct?
Oh, is
It didn't land.
Didn't land.
Okay. Then we will take a break until they do arrive, and then we'll have to go into a closed session at that point in time. So thanks, everybody, for coming this evening. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Can we do the exempt session? Can't switch it up.